everybody. Good morning. Thank you. So, I am just so excited, and a lot of you guys know why I'm excited. I got to ring my bell last week. I'm just so ecstatic. I told you guys when the cancer came the first time, and then when the cancer came the second time, that I will stand up here and tell you that I'm healed, and I am healed. I know God healed me. So all glory goes to him, and I am just so thankful. Pastor Chris wanted me to give you guys like an update just about what's next for me and what's going to go on and different things like that. They still have, my body's been having a little bit of hard time recovering, so I'm doing magnesium infusions, and then I'm on vitamin C and mistletoe treatments just to help build my body. Hopefully we'll be done before 6 months. The doctor's saying 6 months I'll be on that, and then I'll start some hormone therapy and a couple different things. But, you know, that stuff's just little stuff compared to, you know, the radiation and the chemo and all the stuff that I went through. I am just so thankful that I can get back to life and be with my family and be here at church and get back involved. And you know, through all this, it has been a journey, and God has just carried me and my family through this. He's like literally danced me through this because he's just been there carrying me, being with me. And we talked about, we sang Cornerstone this morning. He has been my cornerstone of faith, just walking through this. And of course, I could have never, you know, went through this without all your guys' love, support, cards, meals, hugs. Everything that you guys have done for Pastor Chris and I has been so amazing and tremendous. And, you know, this morning, I just was praying, and God just kept reminding me throughout my treatment of the scripture of Romans 8:28, you know, and it says that all things, and for me, I would quote even all things, including cancer, works together for good, you know. And so I know that no matter what you guys are going through, I'm telling you in faith that, and I know I'm a testimony of that God's power. Everything I go through, he's getting glory out of it, and he's working it out for good. I've been able to help so many people through their cancer journeys, and I know God has so much other things in store. And I know that, you know, through all this, that God has really been showing me just to pray for people who need healing, because, you know, there's so many of us that are walking through different things and trials in our life. And there's something powerful when you come together and you pray. And I really felt this morning that after service, I'll be down here and I want to pray with you. If you're going through something, that you're going through sickness, you know, because I know if God can heal me, you know, of cancer in 3 places, if God can take that cancer away, and he can do that, and he did that back in December, and then the doctors made me keep going through my treatment. They said it was an insurance policy, but I knew I was healed then. But in all honesty, God can do whatever things that you guys need him to do. All it takes is just us standing in faith. So I love you guys. I just want to thank you guys. And thanks for encouraging me to wear my real hair. I really appreciate it. So I love you guys, and thank you for all your love, support for Chris and I. Thanks.
Now you got to look at me. It's kind of like a letdown. Sorry. As Lori said, man, just big thanks, everybody. We say it a lot, but not nearly enough that needs to be said. So just a thank you for all your love and support, and everybody standing with us through all this. It's been awesome just to see what God's been doing. And I promise you, Lori has some weak moments, you know, at home, but I've never met a stronger person than Lori. And I've seen her at the worst of times and at the best of times, and man, she is a fighter all the time. And cancer met its match when it met Lori. So just a big thank you to everyone. So good morning. How's everybody feeling today? I feel like Bernie. Like I keep moving my hands around. All right, bad fun. Let's step back. Good morning. How's everybody feeling? You guys good? Awesome. I can't start with politics right at the front. Like it's got to work its way in there a little bit. Hey, thank you guys so much for being here. If you're a first-time guest with us or even a returner, man, thank you guys for being here and for investing the time this morning. Everybody that is either listening, watching, or even the guests in the room, thank you guys, and a welcome, a hearty welcome. Can we all just put our hands together and say thank you for everybody listening, watching? Facebook Live world, all y'all out there, I know you're watching and commenting. Give us some love. Hey, stop me if you have heard this one before. Mom A sits down with her friend Mom B. Mom A says, "So, what's new? You know, how's life? How's retirement?" And Mom B says, "Oh my goodness, it's so awesome. It couldn't be better. I don't know why I didn't retire sooner. Oh, that's right, I couldn't. And it's just so awesome. Life is great. You know, how about you? You how are things? You actually look a little tired." And so Mom A responds and said, "Hey, things are fine. Things are okay, actually. You know, my kids are just driving me crazy, and you know, actually it's been just nuts around the house, and really it's taken a toll on Jim and myself, and starting to see a little stress in our relationship. But you know what? We'll make it through, and everything's going to be all right." And Mom B replies back very sympathetically, "You know what? How about this? Next week sometime, I'm going to stop by and watch the kids for you, so you and Jim can go out and have a night on the town, have a nice date night. Wouldn't that be great? Would you like that?" And Mom A replies back, "Yeah, that will be great," with zero enthusiasm. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Spoiler alert, Mom B never comes over next week. Mom B never watches the kids. Mom B never comes through with her promises. And Mom B actually pretends like that conversation never happened. And Mom A responds with zero enthusiasm because Mom B has said something like this before. Mom B has pretended like another conversation has never happened. Mom B has never actually followed through with the promise that she made. We are a few weeks into our series called Christian. Subtitle is Not What You Think. And we've been looking into this common word, this title called Christian, and we've been breaking it down and come to the conclusion, many of you guys can even quote this back to me, that Christian is not really a helpful title because it has no biblical definition whatsoever. In fact, none of Jesus' followers ever called themselves Christians. They were given this title by some people from the outside, a derogatory term. In fact, Christian and all its derivatives only shows up in the New Testament, actually in all of the Bible, only 3 times. And there's never actually a descriptor that comes with it. And so Christian has no biblical definition. It has no qualifier. It has no description of how we are actually meant to be a Christian. So it's not defined. So in the 21st century, a Christian reading the same Bible, going to the same church as someone else, could hear about North Carolina's bathroom law and say, "Hey, that makes sense. That's pretty obvious. Like, you go to the one you're supposed to go to." And in the 21st century, another Christian at the same church reading the same Bible could hear that law and say, "That is the most offensive thing I've ever heard in my entire life." Both Christians, both on polar opposite ends of a issue that's happening now. In the 21st century, a Christian can think Donald Trump is the answer to what plagues us in our country. I see that red hat out there. Somebody's got on them. Also, a Christian in the same church, reading the same Bible, following the same Jesus, could think Bernie is the answer to the world's, to the country's problems. Both reading the same Bible, both filtering life through a different lens, but the lens of Scripture nonetheless, and on polar opposites of these common issues. There is no biblical definition for a Christian. And so Christians can stand on separate sides of every issue, and they have. Christians can promote and fight against things like war and laws and all kinds of injustices around the world. Both Christians, possibly in the same church, both reading from the same set of scriptures, because the word Christian is not defined. And so we found that it's not really that helpful to call ourselves Christians. Now, let me throw this out there. I'm not saying that we're not going to call ourselves Christians from here on out, because we were at small group this week, and we were saying, someone was talking in conversation and said, we as Christians, disciples, they looked over at me like I'm going to scold them. Like, that's not what this is all about. Like, we're not going to change it. But to call ourselves Christians really doesn't help, because There's no description. There's no defining terms of what a Christian should be. And so we found our main text we've been going back to. Jesus pulled his guys together. One last lesson in John 13. He says, look, a new command I'm going to give to you. This is what a disciple is going to look like. And that's what he called his followers. He didn't call them Christians. He didn't tell them to call everybody else Christians. He said, you're my disciples. And I want you actually to go out, we learned last week, and make more disciples. So it's a perpetuating system. And so this is what I want you to do. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you are to love each other. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. This is our definer. This is our qualifier. This is the description of what a disciple should be. And so as Christians or as disciples, as followers of Christ, this is what we are meant to do. Early on in Jesus' ministry, he gives a very long discourse to start out his ministry and kickstart everything. It's what we've learned is the Sermon on the Mount. It's the beginning of the New Testament, and Matthew has most of it. Luke has different pieces, kind of broken up in different ways. So Matthew has this big Sermon on the Mount. It covers a couple chapters, and he lays out this discourse, this big sermon that actually redefines what followers of God or followers of his are going to look like. And so it starts with the Beatitudes. There's 9 of them. Blessed are the poor in spirit, and blessed are the meek. And he goes through all these descriptors, and he redefines what blessing really looks like, who's blessed and who's not just the powerful, but it could be anyone. And then he talks about prayer. Most of us have heard the Lord's Prayer before. He redefines what prayer is. He talks about murder, that it's not actually about ending someone's life. There's a heart issue that's attached to it. He talks about adultery, and he says not just being caught in the act of having sex with someone that's not your spouse. There's a heart issue that you could actually not have sex with that person and still be guilty of adultery. And so he starts to redefine some of these big topics. He talks about divorce. He says, look, just because you gave her a piece of paper doesn't mean that you're free and clear. You're actually guilty of something even greater. So Jesus starts to redefine all of thig things and these big topics that people thought they had a handle on. All of these things were permissible for a Jew under the letter of the law. Because when they would follow the letter of the law, say, well, I didn't really kill that person, so I'm not guilty of murder. Well, Jesus said, well, there's the spirit of the law that I think you're missing, and these two things are different. He says, look, I'm not guilty of adultery. I didn't really have sex with that person. He said, Jesus kind of redefined this. Well, there's a spirit of the law that I think you're missing. I'm not guilty of divorce. And he says, well, there's a spirit of the law that I think you're not paying attention to. Jesus noticed that it was common for people to skirt by the spirit of the law when they followed the letter of the law. It was common for Jews to say, well, the law says I can't do X, Y, Z, and so I didn't do X, Y, Z, and so therefore I'm not guilty. And Jesus came along and redefined those things and said, it's not just the letter of the law, there's a spirit that I think you need to pay attention to a little bit deeper. There's a heart to these things. So after hitting topics like murder and divorce and adultery, he continues to speak in this Sermon on the Mount, and almost without stopping, without even hesitating, he goes on to a topic that I think affects all of us in a different way. And murder, divorce, adultery, these are big rocks, big sins that we look at and say, well, this kind of taboo. We can't talk about that. And then he kind of throws in this topic without skipping a beat, without even taking a breath, that hits every single one of us every single day. Some of us, moment by moment. He redefines something that I think we need to pay attention to. Matthew 5, we're going to start at verse 33 is where we're going to be at this morning. If you have a Bible, grab it, turn with me. Your message notes, grab it. We got some blanks for you to fill out as you go along. If you didn't bring a Bible, check out the screen. Here we go. Matthew 5:33. Again, he says, you have heard it said. So he's hitting these things again. He says, again, you've heard it said to people long ago, don't break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows you have made. Essentially saying, just keep your word. Just keep your word. Verse 34. But I tell you, do not swear an oath at all, either by heaven, for it's God's throne, or by earth, for it's his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it's the great city of the great king. And don't swear by your head, for you can't even make one hair white or black, so you have no control over these things. The context was people were making promises. They were swearing oaths by all kinds of bizarre things. Like, I swear upon this ground. And people would have to take it seriously because that was a serious thing. I swear by the king on the throne. They had to take it seriously because the king is a serious guy. I swear by the city or the sun or the temple. I swear by all these things. This is a way for the Jews to skirt around the third commandment in the Big Ten. Like, look, don't swear by the Lord's name, or don't use the Lord's name in vain. So they were saying, look, I never said, I swear to God, man. I swear it. Anybody say that when you were younger and your parents say, don't say God's name in vain? So this is what he would skirt around and say, oh, man, I swear on, the ground here. I swear to ground that I would never do that. I swear to the city, I'll pay you back, I promise. And so this is a way for the Jews to skirt around the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law is what they were missing. And they said, I swear to the sun, I swear to the city, I swear to this or that. And so Jesus continues on, verse 37, all you need to simply say is yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one, or comes from evil, different translations would say. So the point Jesus was making is the spirit of the law is this: why are you swearing anyway? Why do you need to reinforce your commitment by attaching it to something greater than you are? Why don't you just say yes or no and let it be that? Like, that's the end of the story. And the answer was, we need to swear by things because we lie. Right? Any other liars in the room? Nobody had their hand up. Y'all lying. I was like 100%. Nobody put their hand up. We swear because people don't believe us when we say we're going to do something. We need a promissory note because they don't trust us any longer. Too many people have not paid the debt back, so they say, well, this is not going to work out. You need a co-signer, someone that I can go and get the money from if you don't pay up the money that you owe. We swear by greater and greater things because our word has gotten lesser and lesser valuable. That's not correct grammar, but it's the truth. We swear because we lie. And to the Jews listening, they would have been totally justified to swear in all these matters because they weren't breaking the third commandment. The letter of the law was being held to. They were still good. They weren't breaking the actual rules, and God couldn't be angry with them because they were doing what they were told. They were totally justified according to the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law was being twisted. The spirit of the law was being violated. They were promise breakers. The point was, they didn't follow through with their word. The point was, they broke their promises. The point was, they missed the point. And so Christians, just like the Jews that were listening, they can make promises and not really follow through with them because their heart was in the right place when they said it, right? Christians can say, oh man, I swear I'll be there. I swear, man, you can count on me, I'll be there. Me and you are bros, we go way back. And if they don't come through on the promise, they can say, oh man, my fault. God, forgives me, and you're supposed to too. So we're good. Christians can do that. But disciples, a different standard altogether. Jesus was saying, if you're going to be a follower of God, if you're going to be a follower of mine, if you're going to be a disciple, you have to live by the spirit of the law, which is a totally different descriptor and definer of your actions. And here's a fact: one of the most Christ-like things you and I can do is to keep our word. And it's not sexy. It doesn't feel very spiritual, does it? We don't get all Christian tinglies and Jesus moment when we actually do what we said we're going to do. But Jesus felt it was pretty important. Murder, adultery, divorce, prayer, giving, serving. Oh yeah, and keep your word. That's just a small sin though, God, right? That's not like a big one. Jesus ranks in importance with some pretty major things on our list of major things. The reality is many of us do break our promises. We don't keep our word. Many of us make promises that we can't keep, and we keep promises that we should have never made. We say yes to things that we should say no to, and we say no to things that should always be yes. See, when we have a responsibility in life, it's a weight. Ugh. Man, this thing's heavy. When we have responsibilities in life, it's like a rock that we carry around with us. And these responsibilities are things that only we can do. You know, families and being dads and moms and date night, helping our kids with their math homework, and that little league game that we're supposed to go to, and going through times with our kids and our wife. I mean, these are things that only we can help with. These are things that only you and I can handle in life. When we shirk this responsibility off, we're asking someone to carry our weight and their weight around. Hey, babe, I can't be back in time for the recital, so can you hold the fort down for me? I've got to be at this thing. Hey, bud, I know it's a championship Little League game, but I can't be there. It's mandatory overtime. Mom will be there, though, and she'll bring the cups and the juice, and she'll handle it. You got this, right, Mom? You got that. Hey, bud, I know we're supposed to be home to do our homework and our stuff together, but I can't be there tonight. It's mandatory overtime, so you're going to have to do your homework all by yourself. You got this, right, buddy? What happens is when we can't handle our responsibility, when we make promises that we can't keep, and we keep promises that we never really should have made, our responsibilities get handed off to someone else. When our yes simply isn't a yes and our no simply isn't a no, we end up handing our responsibility to people that aren't really meant to carry our responsibilities any longer. And these are good things. Here's a caveat. I mean, there's times when this is going to happen. I mean, Lori going through cancer treatment, and there's only so many things that she could do as a mom or as a wife or as a daughter or as a friend, and some of those responsibilities got handed off to other people, and I had a heavier load the past 6 or 8 months. There are seasons when this is going to happen. There are times when something drastic happens and you just can't get to fulfill your responsibility. And it's not just parents. I'm speaking from the perspective of a parent and a spouse. But all of you singles out there, you have responsibilities with your friends and with your job and with your parents and with your siblings and with people that rely on you and your neighbors. We all have a responsibility that we carry. But the unfortunate thing is we make promises that we can't keep, and we keep promises that we never should have made. And so somebody's carrying around your and my responsibility, and eventually this responsibility gets too heavy to carry. Because they're carrying their own and they're carrying yours now. And so one day you call and say, hey, babe, can you just put my food in the microwave? I'm going to be 5 minutes late. Or, hey, bud, you made it fine the last game. I don't think I'm going to be able to make this game either. Hey, Mom, I know I'm supposed to come by and take care of that thing, but I'm not going to be able to make it again today. And eventually, they stop carrying your responsibilities for you, and it drops. I don't want that back. Yeah, sure, I'll take it back. Here's what preachers do. And when the rock drops, you can't plan for where it goes. You see how I did that? Tie that in? And you're thinking, whoa, what's this explosion about? Like, I just said I'm going to be 5 minutes late. But you said that like 30 times. You just told your daughter that you're not going to be able to make it to the recital this time, and the door slammed, and the music went up, and you said, you heard from the other side, I don't want to talk to you. And you're like, I just said that I wasn't going to be at that one thing. It was just one thing. You're at the dinner table, and you say, hey, can you pass the ketchup? Oh. I mean, for a woman, that's called Tuesday. But like, because they're just emotional, a bad Tuesday. I love you, ladies. I always pick on you guys. But eventually the rock will drop because they can't carry it for you any longer. It's not their responsibility to carry. The reason we ask someone to carry our responsibilities for us is because we make promises that we can't keep, and we keep promises that we never actually should have made. We say, I swear I'm going to be there. I swear at this time. And how you know that the rock is going to drop, or how you're asking someone else to carry it for you, is you keep making promises to improve in the future. Another way that we know that someone else is carrying our responsibilities for us is we keep going back and checking on them with the responsibility. Like, hey, how's the rock going? Are you guys okay? Like, I know it looks heavy. Sorry, I couldn't come do that thing. But are you fine? Like, are you good to go? Earlier this week, I couldn't make it back in time to give London a bath, which is, usually kind of my responsibility is, and I just take care of it. And I couldn't do it, so I was tied up with something. I made a promise that I probably shouldn't have made, and I was with some people that wasn't my family at the time, and so I had to go back and check on Lori, and she's holding, my responsibility. Hey, how was bath time? Is it okay? Like, did you make it? Like, is it fine? And, water, it goes to here, and it's got to be this warm, and I usually let her have the iPad, like, over here. Like, did you do all that? Is that okay? She's like, yeah, it was a bath. Like, I got it. How you know when someone's carrying a responsibility for you is you go back and you check on it a lot, and you make promises about the future and how it's going to look better and be better. The rock drops when we said no one too many times to the person or to the people that we should be saying yes to. No, I can't take that back yet. No, I can't. I've got this other thing. The rock drops when we swear by all these things that it will never, ever happen again. The rock drops. The rock drops when we make promises that we can't keep, and we keep promises that we shouldn't have made. And here's the fact. Not all disciples end up as priests and pastors and Sunday school teachers and Mother Teresa. For some, being a disciple means being a good dad. Like, dad's gonna dad, For some, being a disciple means going home to help with that math homework like you're supposed to. For some, being a good disciple means not missing the Little League game or saying no to the work trip that all the pressure of the company is coming down on you. For some, being a good disciple is just showing up to help that person move because they need the extra set of hands. For some, being a good disciple is being there to stop over at your mom's house and check in. For some, being a good disciple is just cutting their grass just, one more time. Some of history's best disciples have been camouflaged, undercover as moms and dads and brothers and sisters and sons and daughters and good neighbors and friends, co-workers. Their names will never go in lights. Their picture will never be in a book for everyone to read. Some of the world's best disciples, just people that say the right yes and the right no. So why do you and I make promises that we can't keep, and why do we keep promises that we shouldn't have actually made? Why do we break what Jesus was telling us to do about saying yes to the right things and no to the wrong things? The first reason we do this is out of guilt. People pleasers unite. Unless you guys want to do something else, it's up to you. Whatever, I'm fine. Friend 1 says, hey, let's get together. Friend 2 says, hey, sure sounds good. Friend 1 says, hey, what does such and such day look like? And friend 2 says, oh man, it kind of looks terrible, but I'll make it work. Friend 1 says, awesome, I'll see you there. Friend 2 says, I should have never done that. Why? Guilt. I would feel guilty. I'm trying not to put myself in that category because I'm a recovering people pleaser, so it's not me. I'm speaking on behalf of a friend. I'm saying this for a friend. We commit out of guilt, and we'll show up late to that thing because our calendar's too full, because we said too many yeses to too many people, right? And we show up late to the thing, or we have to cancel because our calendar's too packed full with all these different yeses, and we've made all these separate commitments, and we can't do our basic job functions, and the rock keeps coming back to us, and we can't go to the thing any longer because the people we've asked to hold our responsibilities just won't hold them any longer. Too many rocks have dropped around us. Or we'll show up to the thing with a bad attitude because we know we should be somewhere else with someone else doing something else, but we committed to this and we're going to be there anyway. Or we'll have to leave early to the earlier commitment because that was something we really should be at, but we have to say a quick early no. I said yes, but I got to leave too soon. So we end up breaking that commitment, shortchanging something that was already on our calendar that we already said yes to, but it's kind of a half yes because we got to leave. We got to say no and say yes to someone else. Why? Because of guilt.